Welcome back to Kitchen Conversation. Sterling and I carry on our conversation about the Food Hygiene Rating Scheme.
Well, should allergen management somehow be incorporated into the scoring system as well, so that you can focus on it when you're in an inspection, that it focuses the attention of the business, and again gives consumers a bit more confidence, especially those that could be potentially made ill, that something is being done and they can rely on those scores to address their particular concern.
I mean, really, if you think about it, allergen management is part of the business's process and food safety system. So you would expect that to be considered anyway in the confidence in management part of the inspection. But nothing is written in stone. So this element is actually treated very differently from one part of the country to the other, because it's not actually specifically in the brand standard for food hygiene ratings.
So we're sitting in your kitchen in Bath, where two young girls died recently from allergen-related deaths. And I wonder now, the EHOs in this area are probably very, very, very sensitive to allergen management, and I'm sure they put it as a high priority. But if you're in an authority that hasn't had that type of situation, I wonder, you get lots of variation. Is it important, isn't it? And it becomes down to personal choice and a personal perception of the risk, whereas actually if it's included in the standard, I think we'd address this thing of consistency that you mentioned.
Exactly, and I think it's got to be addressed one way or the other. It's got to be very clear, because there will be people who are considering it now and others who are not. And of course, from the consumer's point of view, that means that somebody might see a 5 on the door and think, well, that's fine, they must have got their allergens sorted out. And of course, that might not be the case at all.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important that we revisit the brand standard. And I would say, there are some other things as well which need to be sorted out. I mean, the revisits, for example, we found that the cost of a revisit to get a more timely inspection could be anything from £90 to £350 on a cost recovery basis.
That doesn't seem fair. It seems ludicrous.
It does seem crazy. I mean, you can say, well, maybe, if you're in a rural area, it takes more petrol to get out to one premises or whatever. And in an urban area, you can get more inspections done in a day. Or it just is very difficult for a business, which might be the same size, being charged a totally different amount.
And it must be for businesses that cover more than one local authority. It must be odd for them to think, well, what does this authority charge me this?
Totally confusing. Totally confusing. And of course, it's those businesses who will raise the inconsistencies of all sorts of other aspects of the scheme as well. And again, with the appeals, at the moment, the business can appeal, but only back to the same local authority that gave them the rating in the first place. A different officer, but even so, it doesn't feel like it's independent. There is a potential for the local authority to use a neighbouring authority to handle the appeal, but I haven't come across anybody who's actually been allowed to do that yet. So it's not mandatory. So I think we need to think really carefully about how we can make this fair for everybody, for the business to make sure that they have a right of appeal, that they have a right to have a re-inspection in a timely way, because again, actually, not all local authorities are offering that revisit even. That's not a mandatory thing. So those local authorities who can't manage it won't do it. So again, it's a postcode lottery for businesses.
Yeah. And I think the reason that people are getting concerned is because it is valued so much.
Yes.
And if these things aren't addressed, I think then the whole scheme is undermined. And then I think you start to lose central government backing as well. Will they give mandatory display of signs to premises that are in England if they think it's not working properly? So I think unless we can address those things, the scheme will fall into disrepute almost, and that would be dangerous for the industry. It'd be dangerous for regulators. I think it'd be dangerous, more importantly, to consumers who want to make that informed choice.
Yeah, consumers really do understand now about food hygiene ratings. The biennial study that's done by the Food Standards Agency shows that people do choose where they're eating based on what they can find out about the food hygiene rating. So it is very, very important. But unless there's the funding as well to allow EHOs to actually go and do their job, then it's going to fall by the wayside.
And I think what's really great about it is demonstrably it's driving standards. And you can see that it gives people a competitive edge. If your local restaurant has a 5 and somebody else has a 0, consumers are voting with their feet.
Oh, yeah.
And absolutely it's encouraging those sites that have got 0s, especially if they have to show it to make some investment into improving standards.
That's so true. And already, even without mandatory display, it's a massive driver for improvement. Yeah. The bigger companies will have KPIs that the businesses will have to have a for, otherwise they won't get their bonus. Which is amazing if you think where we come. People used to have a KPI based on sales. Now it's based on safety. I mean, what an amazing journey that we've come through to get to that point.
It has become a business critical issue, hasn't it? If you don't have that adequate score, you will not attract consumers.
Yeah, and you won't get your bonus if you're on. If you're the manager, you are measured on that as much as your sales.
And that will drive behavioural change.
Yeah.
So if you're further interested in FHRS, do go to the latest issue of the IFST journal and see the Kitchen Conversation paper.
Yeah, make sure you join us on Kitchen Conversation because we'd really like to engage a bit more on this subject.